everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Yage with Xinhua News Agency, giving you live broadcasting from Rongcheng County of Weihai City in Shandong Province. So where I'm standing right now is actually called Yandunjiao of Li Island. And following our camera, we can see that to get a closer look, we can see we have a lot of whooper swans here. So, one of the very famous Chinese poet once said, 春江水暖鸭先知, but actually I think it's better to say 春江水暖鹅先知. Whether the river is warm or not the ducks are the first to know, but the whooper swans are the first to know. So today we're going to take you to get a closer experience of the magnificent spectacle of the migratory whooper swans. Well, as we are following our camera to get a closer look at the whooper swans, let me give you a brief introduction of the swans first. A swan is a large bird that is usually white and has a long, thin neck and lives on or near water. And there are mainly 4 types of swans in China, which are whooping swans, tundra swans, black swans, and mute swans. And whooper swans, which are the creature that we're seeing now through our camera, they are largely migratory birds that often fly in large V formations. They can be distinguished from mute swans by their yellow bill color. So that's what we can see. We have the yellow bill color. It's like around their mouth. And the baby whooper swans, which are also called the cygnets, have a gray or brown plumage. It is just like the story The Ugly Duckling, written by the famous Danish author Hans Christian Andersen, except the duckling is in fact the cygnet, or what we call the young whooper swans. And like other romantic birds such as penguins, waterfalls like whooper swans usually mate for life. If a mate dies, the remaining swan will leave alone or even commit suicide. This is a way of expressing their faithful love to their mates. And also in China, swans migrate to warmer places and spend their winter there usually after October. And swans rest in open water, marshes or wetlands, and they feed on aquatic plants, small fish and worms. And also they feed on things like seaweed. And a group of swans is usually called a bevy or a wedge in flight, which takes to 3 to 8 in a small group or as large as a score. And they are physically powerful flyers that can reach as high as 9,000 meters. And when whooper swans prepare to go on a flight as a flock, they usually use a variety of signaling movements to communicate with each other. And these movements include like head bobs, head shakes, and wing flaps, and influence whether the flock will take flight, and if so, which individual will take the lead. Swans have an average lifespan of 20 years old in the wild. And the local people told me that they have a very, traditional saying like 九划一18跑. So this is a description of how the whooper swans take their flight up to the sky. So it's like a glide usually takes 9 slides and 18 pedals. And thousands of swans winter in the coastal wetlands of Shandong each year. And after their vacation here, they fly back to Siberia and Mongolia for the breeding season. And in the following years, some of them may make the return journey with their babies, their offspring. And for those of you who are interested in today's live, please feel free to ask questions and leave us comments and give us thumb ups. And to be honest, this is my first time to be so close with the whooper swans. I usually watch them in zoos, but not so close with them. And as we can see from the, we got a very noisy noise of them. They're quite a noisy species, and I don't know why they're, crawling like that, but perhaps they're communicating with each other, like singing with each other, communicating with each other, or sometimes they fight with each other to get a better territory or something. I don't know, but the whole picture is amazing because it's beautiful. We have the lakes, we have the whooper swans, and although this is in winter, but we have this kind of view like we're in spring or autumn. And to repeat it again, the whooper swans, how can we tell the difference from the whooper swans from other kinds of swans is that they have this kind of, they're bigger in size, and so they have this yellow bill. Like around the mouth, we can see the color is yellow. And Rongcheng, this county is one of China's rare lagoons, lying along the relatively unpolluted coastline. Lagoon is what we call is a small freshwater lake near a larger lake or river. And the whooper swans usually migrate across borders for their annual winter, and they are attracted by the good supply of fresh water and aquatic plants, as well as sparsely populated coastal plains. And these lagoons, with their winter population of swans, have earned Rongcheng has a fame as what we call the home of swans. And as we can see through our camera, there are some of the whooper swans are totally in white. So these are the adult whooper swans, but some of them have, as you can see, we have the gray, the feathers. Instead of the whole, they are not wholly covered in white. So these are what we call the young whooper swans. They are the babies, the offspring of the adult whooper swans. So some of the cygnets, they will fly with their parents to this place again. I don't know how many whooper swans do we have by now, but I think the number is a lot. And some of them are swimming in the lake, but some of the others are trying to fly up in the sky, so they're like playing with each other. Okay, so we have talked enough about the whooper swans, but enough to get a better idea of the whole picture. Let's interview a local volunteer here to tell us more about the information about whooper swans. 您好，您好 ，Hello， 您贵姓？
名贵姓冯。
So this is Mr. Feng, and Mr. Feng is a local volunteer. Say hi to our audience. 跟我们观众打打招呼。
大家好。
So Mr. Feng, the first question is, how many whooper swans do we have each year arrive here at the local Rongcheng County? 咱们这个每年到这个地方的这个大天鹅大概有多少只？有估计过？
每年大概1000余只左右，然后今年已经来了500-600只，还有大概400-500只在路上，陆续飞过来嘛。
So Mr. Feng told me that every year there are about thousands of whooper swans flying here to get their vacation. And this year we have already got, as we can see, we have already got 500 to 600 whooper swans, but there will be more coming up in December. And the second question is, what do they eat every day? 他们这个大天鹅平时都吃什么？
他们平时主要以大叶藻为食，然后现在是每天这边保护的是三次定点投食，主要是以玉米为主。玉米为主。对。
So Mr. Feng told me that naturally the whooper swans they eat seaweed. As we can see, we have this the seaweed like that. But also the local people they feed the whooper swans with the corns every day, 3 times a day. And Mr. Feng, the third question is, what do we do to protect the whooper swans? 咱们当地的人，就是包括您在内，咱们有哪些措施来保护这个大天鹅？
首先，第一个措施是我们平时这些志愿者在这边引导这个来观天鹅的人文明观鹅，然后可能减少扔一些烟头什么垃圾啊，对，
So the first measure to protect the whooper swans is to help the local tourists and the photographers to help them to stop throwing garbage here. So the garbage, the swans, they can tell the difference from the garbage or the things they can eat. So this is a good way for them to protect the whooper swans from eating the wrong things. So what is the second measure?
第二点是，比如说 这旁边的烟墩角村每年过年的时候可能不会燃放鞭炮，主要是为了怕那个不要惊吓到这个天鹅。对。
So the second measure for the local people to protect the whooper swans is that they don't use fireworks in Spring Festival. But we know that Chinese people, we love using fireworks to celebrate the Spring Festival. But local people, they won't use that because this is too noisy. They will frighten the whooper swan. So that's the second measure. 然后我们还有没有其他的保护措施？
第三点，我们平常整个这个村庄已经进行了无害化厕所那个改造。让这个污水不要就是留在这个天鹅保护区内，可以就是保护好这个天鹅现在生活的水质。
Okay, so Mr. Feng told me the third measure to protect the swans is that they have already built a lot of sewage plants to make sure that we got the clean water for the whooper swans. So water has to be make sure that they're clean enough so that the whooper swans won't get ill. 还有没有别的措施呢？
我们平常志愿者这边也会发一些那个宣传那个单页，比如说号召让大家了解一下这个天鹅的习性，号召大家这个更好的保护天鹅一起。对。
So the volunteers, they will also send the posters to the local, not the local, but the tourists and the photographers to help them to get a better picture of the lifestyle of these whooper swans. Thank you very much. 非常谢谢你。
谢谢你。
To ensure that the swans will never run short of good fresh water, the local government has embarked on a determined campaign to preserve their quality of life. So we don't have the landfills. The landfills nearby were shut down. And also we have 3 water treatment plants established. And also the attention to details has been extended, even to controlling the amount of dust in the air, and unsurfaced mud tracks have been resurfaced. And then in addition, we have a group of cleaners employed to make sure that the litter and waste left by the sightseers, photographers, and tourists are disposed of and do not threaten the swan's safety. And also we have the high voltage cables that used to entangle and kill the swans in flight. They are now buried underground. So the government even promises to compensate the villagers whose weeds are eaten by the swans. So these whooper swans arrived in Rongcheng city. They're coming from Siberia, the colder place. But we can see actually Rongcheng city, this is not a very warm place for people to live. But for these whooper swans, they are already better than Siberia, because Siberia is much colder. And these whooper swans usually fly for about 5 months to arrive here and live here for about 5 months from November to April. So Yandunjiao in Li Island, this is not the only place where you can see the Swan Lake. You can also, if you don't have time to drive your car and get to Yandunjiao, you can also choose to witness swans, large scales of swans in the downtown area. We have a downtown area. There's a lake called the Sakura Lake, and if you have time, you can just after dinner, when you have a walk around the lake, you can see whooper swans there as well. And also, as we're approaching noon now, we can see there are workers, the working staffs, local working staffs. They're getting this. They're holding corns, and it's time to feed the whooper swans. And when they whistle, the swans, although they are originally, play with each other in groups, now they're getting closer to get the corns. And it's like they're fighting with each other to get more corns. So, as we have mentioned before, we have 3 times in a day to feed the whooper swans. Yes, and originally the whooper swans are playing with each other in groups in 3 to 8, but now they're getting in a bigger group. And it's a good time for the photographers and the local people, as well as the tourists from around China and around the world, to get a picture of this kind of large number of whooper swans eating together. We know that the UN Environment Assembly this year was held from December the 4th to the 6th. And one of the topics for the newly released report, Frontiers 2017, is marine protected areas, securing benefits for sustainable development. And the oceans have been under too much stress nowadays and for too many years. Overfishing, extractive activities such as oil drilling, tourism, recreation, coastal development, and pollution are damaging habitats and reducing populations of marine species at an incredible pace. And yet we cannot live without healthy oceans. So I guess Rongcheng County sets a good example for protecting coastal and territorial waters. Okay, so in order to get a better chance of, taking pictures of the whooper swans, there are many people living in houses like this. This is called the seaweed houses. And a lot of seaweed houses are, as we can see through our camera, we have a lot of seaweed houses here and there. So these houses are covered. We have the roofs covered with the seaweed roofs. So the roofs are made of the thin seaweed leaves. And these houses are one of the most representative ecological dwellings in the old days along the Chinese coast. And the seaweed houses, they're pushed up on shore by the waves in autumn. And when the tide goes out, the clumps of seaweed are left on the beach. And they won't rot. They're just, lying there, dead in the sun. And quite like the garbage. Can't be easily disposed. And local people, they find a way to use them to build houses, which makes everything ecological. And now they are used for ecological village tourism as well. So the swan, they come here to eat seaweed, and then we have the seaweed houses. So seaweed connects people with the swans. Now, seaweed houses and swans, they have both become the major draw for the increasing number of photographers and tourists. And they come to see them from home and abroad. The houses, they are made with, as we can see through our camera, they are made with irregular local stones. The dried seaweed forms a layer of thatch at a 50-degree angle on the roof in a herringbone pattern. And the thickness of the seagrass ranges between 1 to 4 meters. And the roofs, they really look like big hats, And the history of Rongcheng seaweed bungalows, they can be traced back to the Sui and Tang city, well over 1,000 years ago. And they have become common by the time of the Yuan dynasty in the 13th and 14th century. And now Rongcheng still has up to 95,000 seaweed houses, and the oldest of which has stood for 300 years. Time flies, and now we're approaching the end of our today's live show. So how do you feel about the whooper swans? Is this your first time seeing the whooper swans through our camera? And how do you feel about the seaweed houses? If you are interested in today's live show, please feel free to leave comments and give us thumbs ups. And thanks again for staying tuned with us today, and hope you all enjoy a good time with us here in Rongcheng County of Weihai City in Shandong Province. See you next time. Bye bye.